What if evil didn't die in 1945? What if the masterminds of genocide simply changed their names and disappeared into the sunlight? What if salvation itself became their disguise? This is Hidden in History, where shadows still speak. Tonight, we uncover one of the most secret operations of the 20th century. The escape routes that allowed Nazi war criminals to vanish. Routes that passed through monasteries, charities, and some say, the Vatican itself. Stay until the end, because the truth behind these rat lines will challenge everything you thought you knew. And before we begin, subscribe to Hidden in History, where the past still whispers. The war is over. The cities are rubble. The camps are liberated, and the victors promise justice. But even as the Nuremberg trials prepare to judge the guilty, another movement begins. Quiet, invisible, and dangerous. In the shadows of shattered Europe, thousands of Nazis and collaborators are on the run. SS officers, Gestapo agents, concentration camp guards, men who commanded death, now search for a way to live. They move through shattered villages, hidden in refugee camps, carrying stolen papers and forged identities. They whisper to one another, there is a way out. South, through Rome. Rome, the eternal city, untouched by bombing, alive with chaos. Millions of displaced people pass through its streets. Among them, a few thousand who must never be recognized. Here, in the heart of Catholic power, they find something unexpected: protection. The Vatican is a small city-state, a spiritual refuge. Its priests run aid missions, feed the hungry, and shelter refugees. But within this vast humanitarian effort, the lines blur. Documents meant for the innocent are soon used by the guilty. Mercy becomes a mask. One man stands at the center, Bishop Alois Hudal, an Austrian prelate in Rome, elegant, educated, and deeply sympathetic to Nazism. Hudal believed many Nazis were not monsters but misguided patriots, victims of post-war vengeance. From his office at the Germanic College Santa Maria dell'Anima, he uses Vatican networks to secure new identities. Through the International Red Cross, he obtains travel papers and visas. To his followers, he offers salvation. To history, he offers escape. Men like Franz Stangl, Commandant of Treblinka, and Gustav Wagner of Sobibor pass through Hudal's hands. They leave Europe with new names and false passports, bound for South America. But Hudal is not alone. In another Roman monastery, Monsignor Krunoslav Draganovic operates his own network. A Croatian priest and former Ustasha, he specializes in rescuing members of his fascist regime, men responsible for genocide in the Balkans. One of them, Ante Pavelic, the Ustasha leader himself, hides in Rome under church protection before escaping to Argentina. By the late 1940s, Allied intelligence begins to notice. American reports accuse certain priests of aiding fugitives. British diplomats whisper that Vatican offices are the most efficient pipeline out of Europe. The Holy See denies it all. But the paper trail tells another story. Letters, signatures, and seals, linking fugitives to clerical hands. Why would the Church risk its reputation? Historians offer several answers. First, fear of communism. In 1945, the Soviet Union's shadow stretches over Eastern Europe. To many in the Vatican, communism, atheist, militant, anti-Catholic, is the true enemy. A Nazi may have been a sinner, they reasoned, but at least he believed in God. Better to save an old foe than feed a new one. Second, the language of mercy. The church was a refuge for souls, not soldiers. In the flood of refugees, who could tell sinner from victim? But mercy, given blindly, can turn into complicity. And third, the power of silence. The Vatican's diplomatic immunity, its hidden archives, its moral authority, all offered perfect cover. Officially, there was no plan. Unofficially, the rat lines thrive.
From Rome, the fugitives moved south. Naples, Genoa, Trieste. A ship to Syria, a boat to Spain, a freighter to Buenos Aires. South America became their sanctuary. Argentina's President Juan Perón opened his arms to them, calling them European immigrants. Among those who arrived were some of the most infamous names in history. Adolf Eichmann, the bureaucrat of extermination, living as Ricardo Clement. Joseph Mengele, the angel of death, working as a doctor in Paraguay. Erich Priebke, responsible for the Argentina massacre, living peacefully in Argentina for decades. All of them escaped justice. All of them passed through Rome, and many carried Vatican-issued travel documents stamped with the mark of holiness. Officially, the Vatican insists it never sanctioned any rat line. No pope ordered it. No decree was signed. But the evidence reveals a pattern, one too vast to be coincidence. Priests, charities, monasteries, the Red Cross, all intertwined in a silent web that stretched from the Holy See to the harbors of South America. Perhaps it began with mercy, perhaps with fear, but the result was the same. Thousands of perpetrators vanished, and the promise of justice dissolved in the name of faith. Years later, the truth surfaced in fragments. When Israeli agents captured Eichmann in Argentina in 1960, his route back to Rome was exposed. Forged papers, safe houses, and silent priests. His trial forced the world to confront what had been buried. And yet, many of the Vatican's wartime archives remained sealed for decades, leaving historians chasing ghosts through corridors of silence. Even now, as those archives open, the question lingers. Was the Church deceived by its own compassion, or did it knowingly trade justice for politics? Faith for influence, mercy for fear. The rat lines remind us that history is rarely pure. It's a tangle of conscience and compromise, of light and shadow. They teach us how easily righteousness can be twisted, how forgiveness, without truth, can shelter evil. The war ended, but the past did not. And in the hidden archives of Rome, the echoes remain. Of footsteps in cloisters, of typewriters in candlelight, of prayers whispered for men who never deserved them. This is Hidden in History, where shadows still speak. Subscribe and join us again as we uncover the truths the world tried to forget.